Hello, welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida, and today, friends, I'd love to talk to you about divine timing. That's something that woo-woo people say, right? The divine timing in all things. Well, as I have sunk more deeply and deeply and deeply into the seat of myself and sunk more deeply into my spirituality and just going with the flow of life, that is such an incredibly true statement. Divine timing. There's Frida time. There's the time that I would love to have things take place. And then there is God's timing, or the universe's timing, or, the timing of the divine. And today I wanted to share a story with you about my website, fridahealing.com. So I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I'm going to take you through the whole thing. The first week of July, I had a situation where I was in Los Gatos dog sitting, and I was teaching in the morning, and one of the people in the class said, "Hey, Frida, I went to try to get on your website, but I couldn't get on it. It just comes up with an error message. Your website seems to be down." Oh, I thought, it was something that I made myself about 6 months prior, and I just done it on like Google Sites or something, and yeah, I wasn't paying for it. I never thought to back it up. It was really something that I created because I formed an LLC for my business, and in the process of doing that, I needed to have a website, and it was just something that I made to almost like hold space while I figured out and learned what kind of services I even wanted to offer in the world. And it had like an About Me page, and it offered some private sessions. It offered walking meditation and like healing with trees. So going out into the forest with a client and doing a tree meditation. Well, no one ever took me up on that. But it also had a landing page for my morning program, Return to Self-Love, and a way to get into that program. Anyway, I was alerted to the fact it didn't exist. I was like, oh, okay, I'll look into that. Later that morning, I received a Instagram message from somebody who was recommending my services as part of their blog, and they said, "Hey, your website doesn't seem to be working." 2 in one day. Okay, here's the third. In the afternoon, I had a friend that reached out, and they were like, "Hey, I'm trying to tell my friend about your services and your website seems to be down." I'm cracking up because in the entire 6 months in which I had made this website, no one ever talked to me about my website. Nobody cared. I had no website inquiries. No one was looking at it. And now, or at least no one ever told me they were. And now in one day, the universe has shown me, "Frida, it's time to deal with your website." I had known it was always like a holding place, and it never, when I was making it, I'd already kind of outgrown it. Like by the time I made it, it was already not exactly in alignment. However, I didn't really think it mattered, and I was just like, just let it sit there. I needed to, because I didn't have capital to start my business, and quite frankly, this simply just is not the person that I am. I'm kind of like a make money to spend money person. Some people just put a ton on the line up front in order to make money, but that's just not exactly how I've operated. I'm sort of like a person that would make a certain amount in order to pay for the next thing. So I sort of figured I'd tackle the website once the business had began to generate revenue. Because when you're first starting, you're operating at a deficit. It costs money to do the LLC, to have the hosting platform, to do all of these different things, right? So I was in a deficit from that and waiting to kind of pay for those things. And then I was like, oh, I'll address the website in the future, because I actually didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I didn't know how much it was going to cost to have a web designer. People that I really admire all use this same woman. And she's not astronomically expensive, but it's also, an investment of thousands of dollars, and I was sort of like, oh, okay, well, let my business make this amount, and then I will investigate this more. And then the universe was like, no. The universe was like, we're taking this website away because we have asked you repeatedly to deal with this. You're totally ignoring us. I'd get hits on it all the time that I should be dealing with this. And I didn't. I ignored it. Well, it disappeared. Okay, so now I have to deal with it. So this was the first week of July. I'd just gotten down to Los Gatos. I'm dog and cat sitting. I'm in this house up in the mountains. I had an illustration job that I was working on, and I was solely focused on those things and teaching in the morning. I was not going to worry about a website. Mercury had just gone into retrograde and usually has stuff to do with technology. I just wasn't going to mess around with this. I wasn't dealing with it. My husband is the tech savvy one, and I was away for him for the month of July. And he was traveling. It just really was not a great time. So in my marketing class, I shared that the website was down, and my marketing teacher was very adamant that I needed to get that website up absolutely ASAP. She was like, this is one of the most important things. You need to have this website. And I really sank fully into my body and sat with that because she was jazzed about it. And I sank into it, and my body was just like, pause. Just pause. Because I still didn't know what it would look like, how I wanted to do it. I wanted to just sort of allow this to all unfold organically in time. And I'm one of those people that just will fly into action and do things rather quickly when the energy to do so and the inspiration strikes. And I watched myself not being inspired for this website, and I thought, I will address this again in August. And she was not into that. She said, then you at least have to put a landing page up and take it to your social media or take it to your email, but something. That I could do. So my husband helped me, and it basically, when you put in fridahealing.com, it went to a form that basically said, hey, the website is down right now. It's under construction. Here's my email address. Here's my Instagram. It's a way that you can get in touch with me. So now August rolls around. And during that time, I had made inquiries. So like on my Threads account, I asked the people on Threads, hey, if you built your own website, what service did you use? And do you like it? Do you have any recommendations? I sort of reached out and broadly asked. And if you built it yourself, would you mind linking your website so that I could look at it? Because I wanted to get ideas of what other people were doing, especially in like the wellness, holistic community. And from that is actually how I met Jillian Evelyn, which we heard from Monday, the awesome cosmic human design reader, 5 stars out of 4, amazing human, because she shared her website that I got to take a look at. But ultimately, from looking through that process of looking at other people's sites, what you can do on them, and then also like the cost-effective nature of things, I ended up going with WordPress. And WordPress is not particularly intuitive. However, it was the one that was reading energetically the most for me. And my husband told me that he would take care of putting the back end stuff together. So, okay, August rolls around. And he does that. Corey sets up the whole back end. And that was a fair amount of work for him. You know, he put in the time and connected all the things and switched the domain name and took care of it for me. And then what he presented me with was the blank website where I was able to just create with the blocks, but he made the pages. So there was the drop-down menu and then all the different services that I was offering within each. So basically my job was to go in and populate those pages with my text that I had been creating over time, because I had been working on this in the background in just like a Google Doc, and that is writing out the text that I wanted it to be on each page, like, and refining my services. And then I have a tendency to say the same thing over and over again. I have a tendency to repeat myself in conversation. And I have a tendency to repeat myself when I'm writing. So I just wanted to like write it and then hone it and pull it back and pull it back. Because something that I discovered while investigating and enjoying other holistic health practitioners, intuitives channels, when I looked at their websites, something I really felt like was there were so much words. And I wanted my website to be as simple as possible, and is to get my message across as simply as possible and as little words as possible, because everything is kind of directing you to contacting me, because I think I do best like get on a Zoom call with me and we're going to know if we're a good fit to work together. So everything on that website that I made is just directing you to have a call with me, or go listen to me on this podcast platform, go look at me on YouTube, go see if I resonate with you. And if it's a yes, then let's get on a call together, that kind of thing. I feel like there's a million holistic health practitioners, and it's sort of like a personality thing. It's like, do you like me? You know? So just pushing them towards that, as opposed to telling you what I'm going to do for you in words. It's like, let's meet. Let's have our energies yin and yang. Let's mix them up and see if we're good together. So honing that language, honing it down and down and down. And then I was talking about divine timing. So a friend had come down to hang out with my husband's. It's my husband's friend, and they're a hobbyist photographer. But they're amazing at what they do. They've been doing it for years. They have a regular job, but they love to take photographs and shoot weddings and people's portraiture. It's just not their full-time job. So they had just taken some pictures of my husband, and it reminded me that they exist. And I thought, you know what? She would be great to take my pictures. She's specifically an untouched photos, natural light photographer. She works with the light and positioning and whatnot to get the pictures, as opposed to being the studio photography with the retouching and all of that kind of stuff, which is not me. I am very much a tell the truth, honest, show exactly what it is, and nature. So she said yes, she would be willing to come down. She lives in Sacramento. She came down and spent the afternoon with me shooting photographs in one of my favorite parks. Well, there's divine timing in that. Everything's sort of like laid out and worked out exactly right. She wasn't on my radar, and then she'd hung out with Corey and then gave him these pictures, and I got to see the pictures, and I was like, oh, she'd be a perfect fit for me for this. Would you like to do it? Yes, she would like to do it. It worked out timing-wise to come down. Then she said, I'll give you the photographs back in 6 weeks. Okay. And I sort of was like, oh, okay. So I have about 6 weeks to kind of get the website together, and I'll just sort of in my mind know where I'm going to be dropping these pictures in when I get to see them. Well, in the divine timing of all of things, randomly, she was finished editing my photos, fixing the light in them and stuff in 6 days. 6 days. Unbelievable. So I was supposed to go away this last weekend on a wonderful getaway, stay at this super cute boutique hotel, and spend the day at this gorgeous hot springs up in the Calistoga area of California. I've been really looking forward to this trip, and I love doing a hot springs day. I love doing in and out of the pool and the hot water and the cold plunge and just really making a day of it. I'd gotten super fun food for the weekend, and I was really looking forward to this trip. On the way home, we were intending to stop at the Petrified Forest. I've never been there, and I've been in California 20 years plus, and I've always wanted to go. And I was like, darn. we were planning on doing this, but what happened was Thursday I went up to visit my parents, and the day after I came home, I got a phone call from my mom, and she actually tested positive for COVID. So, unfortunately, I saw her the day before she tested positive for COVID, and we had hung out together. I'd given her several hugs, and we had lunch together and, breathing in each other's faces, basically. It's like, oh, darn. So now the weekend plans are canceled because immediately, of course, I move into quarantine. So now I've isolated myself in my art room, brought a bed in here, set a mattress up on the floor. My husband's in the bedroom, and masking in the house, going around with the bleach towels on my hands, whatever those wipes are, those wet wipes. I feel fine. I feel great. But, it's like that period of time after being exposed to COVID, that's when, all hell breaks loose in terms of spreading it to other people. So when you find out you're part of the COVID tree, that's when you go put yourself in the room. We know how to do this. We did this before. Anyway, so my weekend now is canceled. But what am I going to do if I'm quarantining in this art room? I'm going to work on my website. So basically, magically, now I have 48 hours of the weekend to sit here in my art room and poke at my WordPress documents. And I did it. And it wasn't easy. It was often frustrating. I sat in the learning space of it a lot because WordPress is not intuitive. But there was also a gift in the fact that I'm quarantining. So it's like, what else am I doing? I am sitting here and trying every button until I understand how to move this around, until I sort of figure it out. Because I had to sit still, it made me not anxious about time and being concerned about how much time it was taking me to poke at the WordPress site in order to learn how to use it to do the thing. And it was amazing. Like at one point, my husband was out in the living room and, I dialed him in with a Zoom call, and he opened the website on his computer. So he was able to create the links to make different stuff work within it. Because I created the layouts and created the words and dropped all that stuff in, but he made it work. He's the one that was doing the linking to things and the drop-down menu and the different stuff behind the scenes. That was his forte. And was incredible at it. I mean, he doesn't know how to do this stuff either. He Googles it and then puts it into action. So God bless. He's amazing. It's a total gift. It was a very big gift that he gave me in giving his time to do that. And it was interesting because I wasn't particularly happy while I was sitting here for 48 hours poking at my WordPress site, fridahealing.com. It took time. It took a lot of time and a lot of trial and error. And simultaneously, when we got it all to work, when it was published and finished, I'm in seventh heaven. I am elated. Whereas that first website I'd made, in the past to just be this placeholder, almost already felt outdated before it began. I am so proud of what I've made. The photographs that Oh Dang Photography took are phenomenal. They are me. I took the pictures into Canva and I put words on them. I wrote words that I thought of. I love my website. I love it. I'm really proud of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I made this myself. And I'm just incredibly proud. Yeah, really, really, really proud. And yeah, it was not my intention. I was supposed to be away on a hot springs weekend, but instead I have a website. And that is the story of the divine timing of having fridahealing.com. Now, miracles that happened along the way were the boutique hotel that I had picked out and paid for do absolutely no refunds. And because my husband called and was like, hey, it's a COVID thing, a COVID exposure, we're not going to know about travel and blah, blah, blah. They were kind enough to credit us. So yes, I paid for it, but they're crediting so that we can go stay another time within the year. That's a miracle. That's amazing. It's like not totally missing out. And then also the hot springs, which had been paid for, they're giving us 30 days in order to come and use the passes. So everything absolutely and totally worked out. And now this website, which has sort of been this thing that has been hanging out back here and I knew I needed to do, is done. And it was done within 48 hours and all fell into place. Now, that 48 hours, I had done the writing ahead of time. I had worked on that writing and I'd honed it down and down and down. Really, that 48 hours was putting the pictures in and doing the navigation and figuring out how all the linking and all that stuff worked. But it's not an unelaborate website. There's a lot of pages. I'm offering a lot of different services. And yeah, it's really good. I'm super proud of it. So, if you want to go to fridahealing.com, you can see what my husband and I made. The only thing that doesn't work yet is I need to put a payment method on it and I need to pick and choose a calendar. But I know those are things that I'm learning in my marketing class in the next couple of months. So I kind of wanted to wait. I mean, everything has a Google form and it just comes back to me and I can get in contact with you via email. It's okay to go slow. I don't have to know everything and have it all figured out right off the top. I just don't. I'm learning in this growth. And something that's really cool is this website feels like me so much and I'm offering things that I've now had the experience to know how to offer. Like I didn't bother with putting together like walking meditation with trees and stuff like that. Like that's something like if you know me, you can ask me, would you teach me walking meditation? And it can fall within the branch of like I put together a mentorship program. It can just fall in and look like something else. However, I wouldn't have known that when I was first, because I hadn't started running a business yet when I originally made my first website. So yeah, all of it fell into place and it is all in divine timing. All exactly as it should be. Now, I could have, when my marketing teacher said, it's very, very, very important you have a website. Now, when she said that to me the first week of July, I could have had a total nervous system breakdown and freaked out and been so incredibly upset that it disappeared in the first place. But I didn't have any of those feelings. It just sort of was like, okay, this isn't in alignment. I knew that I wasn't going to deal with it the month of July while I was down in Los Gatos. And I knew that it would just kind of work out and fall into place in the time that it was supposed to. And that's exactly what happened. Because the universe has our best interest in mind. Things happen for us when we go with the flow. And there were plenty of parts along the way. Like I told you, I wasn't having fun when I was building this website. I would be pleased with myself as I would get pages done or I did something that I liked. But it was all very much mildly frustrating and I was super duper in the learning space with it. But I trusted the process. And holy crap, by Sunday night, I had a website that the first thing I did was email my marketing teacher and connect it. And I was like, look what I made! Because I was so proud of it. And this morning I woke up from to an email from her, and she was like, I'm so proud of you. It's really funny. I'm a 44-year-old woman, and there's a level of just like, oh my gosh, like I just want to celebrate. And yeah, she was a person that I wanted to celebrate with. And she was generous to write back, you did it! So yeah, just extending the joy of doing the thing. Never in a million years did I ever think that I would have the capability to do this. But when I want something bad enough, I want to be a business owner. I want to have a healing business. I will stop at nothing. I darn well learned how to make a website and did it. Yep. Because of many reasons. Now, I'm sure in the future, when my business makes revenue in such a way where it's important that my website levels up even more, I'm sure that the right people will come into my life and have assistance in making something like that happen. But for right now, I'm just thrilled. I'm absolutely elated. So if you're interested, go check out fridahealing.com. So proud of it. And yeah, that's about the divine timing in all things, and just a neat little story for you. And I would ask you, perhaps, where in your life have you noticed yourself pushing for something and it doesn't quite work, it doesn't quite work, it doesn't quite work, until you just maybe relax into releasing it, and then maybe it falls into place in the future, probably at that point when you don't even want it anymore. Has that ever happened to you? When we're in the process of trying to manifest something, it's like we put our order in the universe with the universe while getting into the feeling frequency of what does it feel like to want that thing. But then that's kind of, you stay in that frequency of that thing that you're moving, the feeling that you want to move towards. But then it's kind of about getting out of our own ways. If we obsess about when is it coming? How do I do it? When will the thing happen? It kind of is putting all of these like hiccups in the ability to bring those things into your life. When we just relax and go with the flow, and often along the way, be just having fun and enjoying our lives, knowing that when the time for the aligned action steps to take place, then we step in and we take the action steps. When we are so present to the moment, when we're living in the now, we don't miss the action steps when they come along for us to take them. I hope you can hear that. It's one of those things where it's a lesson that I heard from teachers over and over and over again. And I heard it for years, but now it is my lived experience. It doesn't happen until it just like does. So there's also a patience as you work, do your job, do your healing. There's a patience in it does get easier. I promise you, my love, that you will not be like clearing trauma from your system forever. It does come a point where things begin to really do fall into place. All right, my loves, that's what I wanted to share with you today. And as I sign off, I just want to tell you a little quick thing here as I sign off. When I say to you, I love you, God, universe, source loves you, I wanted to share that why I say that. I had a Christian camp counselor when I was in music and drama camp when I was a kid. And I started going to Methodist music and drama camp when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. Somewhere in there. And before puberty. And I had a camp counselor, at music and drama camp, and his name was Charlie Kepperling. And Charlie Kepperling had Down syndrome, and he had Parkinson's. And he was a little bit shaky, and he was love. The man was love. I'm gonna tear up. And because I had was a childhood sexual abuse trauma survivor and physical abuse survivor, verbal abuse survivor. But when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, the years that I was a camper, I wasn't a survivor yet. I was very much deeply in so much pain. I often didn't want to be alive. And this man, Charlie Kepperling, through his Christian faith, his love of Jesus, and helping me to accept the love of Jesus Christ in my heart, he saved my life in a lot of ways. There's multiple people in my life that have saved my life over the years, and he is one of them. And he was so generous, because I think about this as an adult now. He was my pen pal. He was my pen pal. And I wrote him probably hundreds of letters when I was a kid. And when he would write back to me, and he always wrote back to me, he said, "I love you and God loves you." From Charlie. And people have difficulty with the word God. So when I sign off, I say, "I love you. God, universe, source loves you." Because people can get behind the universe, the word universe, and the word source energy, the word the divine. But we struggle with God because it's like religion hijacked it and it has so much stuff on it. But I like the word God. I was raised Christian and I love Jesus and the energy of the Christ, the energy of Yeshua, that story. It's challenging because religion makes it seem like it has to be a certain way. And that there's just one right way. And I would definitely put it into the category of it is one of the many energies, but it's right there with the Buddha, and it's right there like with Babaji. Like these energies are all in accordance with each other. So the fingerprint of mankind on what those energetic frequencies are why we have war, disturbances, hatred, and problems. But the energy of Christ consciousness is unconditional love. Yeah, absolute unconditional love. So yeah, I just felt like telling you about Charlie today. It's kind of choking me up. Yeah, I love that man, Charlie Kepperling. He is one of the people that came into my life, and he saved me. Because I was a hard kid. There were a lot of times that I didn't want to be here. Yeah. Oh, friends, just get a little emotional. Well, on that note, in honor of Charlie, I love you. God, universe, source loves you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.